Hey guys, Kyle, the Death Knight of Anime here, bringing you my review for One Piece episode 876. And before anything else, I need to talk about that moment at the end of the episode where we see Stussy and Morgans together. Specifically, Morgans and his little speech about the worst generation. Cause, oh my god. This is exactly what I was talking about when I was constantly saying whenever Morgans would make an appearance in an episode in order to in order to keep your eye on him even if he's just in the background, because with that speech you just know, with that speech about the worst generation and how about a new pirate king is going to appear, you just know Morgans is about to pull some fucking crap, and god damn it, I'm kicking myself. And the reason why I'm saying this now is because honestly, and part of me is kicking myself for basically for not even realizing this sooner. Like looking back as a manga reader, I realized I should have been paying more attention to Morgans myself, but with me paying more attention to him in the manga, or in the anime, sorry, it's like, this pretty much dude, he is about to shake shit up. He is going to turn. He's gonna probably turn the world upside down, even more than Luffy ever has in the fucking past. Than anything Luffy has done in the past, whether it's going up against the world government when he was in Enies Lobby or any of that shit. Like Morgans is seriously gonna fuck some shit up here. We just know that, and surprisingly, honestly, the one thing looking back on this, that's really weird for me is that I'm surprised that pretty much Stussy, of all people, who works for the government, even allowed Morgans to do that. Like, really, it kind of surprises me. Maybe, and which I guess does kind of show that maybe not every like Cypher Pole agent is 100% like loyal to the government. Like some are willing to be a little more sneaky or shit like that. But yeah, like Morgans, yeah, Morgans, you definitely do you, dude. It's all on you, man. All eyes are on you now. So yeah. But getting to the calmer parts of the episode. So aside from that, the first couple minutes of the episode of seeing the Big Mom Pirates, after having destroyed the Sunny and celebrating their victory, was really one of those times in the episode where you're just sitting there and waiting for pretty much the bomb to drop, and to the anime's credit, I'm surprised that to the anime's credit that they really didn't drag the reveal out as much as I thought they would. Like with the reveal of the ship switcheroo, that they didn't drag that shit out as much as I thought they would, and seeing the Big Mom Pirates pretty much end up growing more and more frantic as the episode progressed in their last desperate stab in order to kill the Straw Hats, and only to fail in the end. Like I think we can pretty much assume that judging by the end of the episode that the Big Mom Pirates have essentially failed in order to that the Big Mom Pirates have essentially failed in order to kill the Straw Hat Pirates at this point. So yeah, just seeing them fail was basically only as epic as seeing the Sun Pirates themselves pretty much rise up and aid the Straw Hats in their escape by fighting out the Big Mom Pirates. Which I believe a lot of the stuff with the fishmen, with the Sun Pirates in this, with the Sun Pirates who were fighting the Big Mom Pirates in this episode, like a lot of the fights in this episode was basically added material, but in a way I feel it was added material that was helpful in building up the decision that pretty much Jinbei would inevitably be able to the decision that Jinbei would make in this episode, which yeah, the decision, of course, in this episode is that Jinbei ended up choosing to stay behind and help his fishermen comrades over escaping with the Straw Hats in this episode. And like I said, I feel the added bits that we got with the Sun Pirates definitely kind of added a little bit of extra reinforcement to him, to the reason as to why he chose to stay behind, because I think in the manga that it really didn't build it up as much. Just like they're pretty much fighting, so I want to stay behind with them. I think that was it. But the anime did kind of build that decision up a little more, which I like, and and the other thing you can take from it is because, and with that decision, it basically shows that for as much as Luffy is grateful to the Straw Hats, he still holds a certain kinsmanship to pretty much his basically own former crew, because pretty much all of them are fishermen, and he feels that kinsmanship with his own people in a way. Now, looking back on, and I'm not gonna lie, looking back on this particular moment where Jinbei decides to stay behind, and where we are particularly in the manga, has me kind of wondering even more what the specifics of the battle with Big Mom's crew after that were like, because this moment is the last we're gonna see of Jinbei and the others for pretty much a while. In fact, we pretty much don't even know as to what happened to Jinbei and the Sun Pirates after this. So yeah, I'm curious as to what's being as to what the final return as to what the return of Jinbei and the Sun Pirates is going to look like in the end. Because like I said, whether it's going to look like when they finally make a appearance in the manga, for sure. And I like how Luffy. And I like how Luffy pretty much making Jinbei and I like how Luffy pretty much making the whole thing of Jinbei helping the others, an official captain's order, does in its own way pretty much tell us that Jinbei is an official member of the Straw Hats now, and that exchange of understanding stares between Jinbei and Luffy is proof enough to tell you that Jinbei fully recognizes Luffy as his new captain now, and is willing to do anything in order to help him. And when you put it in, and you put that particular respect in further context, it does open a lot of doors into wondering into the context of what Jinbei staying behind means, because when you on one hand, you can interpret it as, again, his natural attachment to his kinsman, while on the other hand, you can interpret it as him protecting his captain, as him protecting his new captain, Luffy. But the most important thing I think we can take away from pretty much Jinbei's desire to stay behind is that Jinbei, I think from the moment that basically he saw his old crew pretty much staying behind, I think along with that kinsmanship connection, I think he also saw his old crew as potentially very powerful allies to pretty much Luffy in the future, especially if Luffy intends to continuously act crazy enough in order to go up against Moriyoko. So he's definitely going to need as many. So Luffy's going to need definitely as many allies as he can. So in that respect, we can interpret what Jinbei was doing by staying behind as him making sure that Luffy had some powerful allies in order to help in the future, which again is almost certain that Luffy is going to need allies, and when Jinbei returns, which of course also reinforces that when Jinbei returns, he's not going to be alone, but when it comes to Luffy and having allies that basically aren't his crew, you really gotta. It really kind of makes you wonder as to how open that Luffy is going to be to pretty much allies at that point. Considering how stubborn Luffy is, it's not going to be like even if Luffy respects the fishermen and whatnot, it's not going to be easy to convince him that it's not going to be easy to convince Luffy that he's going to need a little extra help. So, but either way, it's good that Jinbei is thinking of the future and how Luffy is going to need as much help as he can in order to survive the Yonko. Also, just when you think that things are finally going to be a little easier, Big Mom makes a relatively pretty much full recovery, which again brings up the question of how not feeding her would have changed the outcome of this whole situation. Although maybe the fact that the Big Mom is now a little more, definitely more docile, is going to make her more manageable, but really, either scenario that involves Big Mom as an obstacle is not an ideal one. Like people have said it before, but Big Mom is a big bitch that is not one is a big bitch that you definitely do not want to cross. That's a given, and actually I'll be honest, I don't necessarily remember Big Mom even playing a part in the final moments of this arc. So with her pretty much going in order to try and in order to defeat the Straw Hats, I think that might have been an anime only moment, but in order to give her a little extra screen time. But yeah, I don't remember Big Mom having much of a purpose in the latter half of this. Many appearances in the latter half of this arc, but I could be wrong. Now, one thing I will say is that art and animation this week wasn't the strongest. In fact, for me, the art and animation I think was probably at its best when it showed the fishermen and the Big Mom Pirates who were fighting whenever the Big Mom Pirates and the fishermen were fighting. I think that's where the animation were at its strongest, especially whenever it showed Oven and basically Aladdin fighting. That shit was cool. But other than that, it wasn't anything special. And one other thing I will say is that oddly enough, one of the big things that really bothered me about this episode is that and one of the things that was really off-putting even is in this week's episode was basically the pretty much whole thing that they were doing is the whole thing that Toei has decided to do with the water. Like with they basically made, for anyone who hasn't even noticed, which I know it would be hard not to notice. One thing that I guess Toei has decided to do in order to cut costs is that they've used a little bit of CGI when it comes to animating the water, but and normally in the past it hasn't bugged me as much, but with this particular episode it really felt off-putting, and maybe it was because a lot of the fights ended up taking place underwater, where things were more two-dimensional. So I think it was whenever we transitioned from underwater to a surface shot where the CGI was where we see CGI water. I think the transition of that was just a little jarring or something like that, but I don't know. But yeah, guys, that's my review. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, AniList, or Crunchyroll. Death Knight of Anime, signing off. Later, guys.